Hey, what's up YouTube? Books Nelson here with another video. We're going to be doing a preview of this Ming collection, and we're also going to be discussing an important topic near and dear to my heart. First, let's look at the collection in and of itself. So, and this is my second time uploading this because the first time had an audio issue. I didn't realize I had a window open that was coming through my desktop audio. So we're going to redo this and do it better the second time around. So first things first. This Yao Ming is barely going to be in the collections, but when he is, when you go up against him, you will most likely be at a very severe disadvantage outside of a few cards. Maybe Eaton, Wilt, maybe Wemby can stand up to him, but if you don't have an elite center, you're going to be in serious trouble if you come up against this card, but thankfully that will not be too often. This is a design philosophy that I know someone who has this philosophy, and I have been raging against them about how wrong it is to put unbalanced, broken things into the market, but it's okay because only a few people have it. I think that sucks. We'll get to that later. I will say I'm excited for the rest of this collection. I think the entire rest of the collection looks really good, or at least most of it. So Kawhi is going to be awesome. Julius Erving is going to be awesome. Chris Bosh should be at least very good. Jonathan Isaac should be at least very good. Kwame Brown has always had an excellent card as well. So really across the board, I think this is a lock-in no-brainer if you are locking in with your MT. And then when we look at the opals, Kyle Korver is going to be one of the best offline cards in the game. And people might say, oh, well, you know, who needs that? Let me tell you something. That card makes online objectives so ridiculously easy. Like 4-pointers, whatever it is, if you need to score a bunch of points, you can just turn your brain off, literally watch Netflix and do stuff with that card. Gary Payton will be more in the lines of like the Lonzo Ball type cards, the Jason Kidd type cards. I think he's going to be slightly worse offensively than Jason Kidd and probably slightly worse defensively, probably than both of the cards, just because of his size. I know he's similar to size to Jason Kidd, but I think he'll be a budget version of that if you either missed the locker code or if you didn't go in for that Lonzo Ball or lock him in. If you're running that kind of point guard, he should fit right in line with that. Artis Gilmore probably won't be able to shoot at all, but he'll have good size and hopefully good athleticism. And if they can at least give him like a 70 3-pointer and a high mid-range, he'll be probably the best available center in the game next to Sabonis. And then the 3 pink diamonds, probably fine. Nothing to write home about. Nothing absolutely terrible. You can pretty much ignore the pink diamonds, but the opals all look somewhat useful. So I mentioned locking in MT, right? And there's like a controversy in the community over whether you should lock in, whether you should buy packs. And I got this comment in my comment section where in the last video we're talking about the bowl collection, where the guy says, and this is no hate towards the guy, but he goes, well, I don't care what this toxic community says, I'm gonna still grind out this collection. So first of all, I make videos for people who are mostly enjoying the game, right? Secondly, we have to be able to be critical of 2K and the content without being toxic, right? Like if the car, I'm mostly an educational channel. Obviously we have rants. At some point in the future, there will be gameplay, but mostly I'm an educational channel. So sometimes the educational aspect is going to say, you know, the content's good. Sometimes it's going to say the content's bad. Whether or not you engage the content is completely irrelevant, not only to me personally, but if the content's bad, right? Like my thing is, and so there's a term I wanted to introduce to you guys, right? And it's funny, now I have to pull this up again. I also had to pull it up the first time I recorded this, right? This is a very important term that the 2K community is by and large not familiar with. This term is kusoge, right? And you see here, we can read the definition. Crappy game. They're being polite. When Japanese people say it, you know, conversationally, it means shit game. Unenjoyable or poorly made video game. But look at the next part. Usually applied disparagingly, there's a subculture of celebrating kusoge. The meaning that I've heard about this game is not about this term, is not that it just means bad game. It means even though this game is bad, we all know it's bad, we also acknowledge that we are enjoying it. And 2K is a kusoge game if I've ever heard one, right? So when you have a kusoge game like 2K, a shit game, you have to understand that it's not good and people are enjoying it anyway. And usually in that case, and this is especially true for 2K, people are enjoying it for different reasons, right? This game is, in my opinion, intentionally made to be anti-competitive. And I specifically mean my team, right? I wouldn't say the same for the Rec. I wouldn't say the same for Pro-Am and Park. I think those are more competitive modes. I think even Play Now is a more competitive mode. Or if you were doing All-Star Team Up, that would be a competitive mode. Why is this mode not competitive? Quite frankly, I think it's because they want the emotions of the mode to revolve around gambling and the acquisition of cards, right? If you feel good about acquiring cards, then you'll be enticed to gamble. And for people who have that tendency, which is just absolutely all over sports right now, that's going to be the thing that you get emotional over, or at least enough of you to get emotional over that it lines the shareholders' pockets, right? And bonuses all around. So if it becomes more about competition, what happens is once people get a team that they've optimized to their liking, they are no longer invested in acquiring new cards unless the card specifically further optimizes their team, right? And so that would be a significant portion of the fan base, but also an important portion of the fan base, because if the community is competitive, right? So rock with me now. If the community is competitive as a whole, then they're always going to be looking at the best players first and foremost. And if the best players have the habit of locking into teams that they feel are very competitive and then not spending money, not engaging the content until they have a card that replaces one of their players and further optimize the teams, then the rest of the community will start to adopt those values. And this is bad for MyTeam, right? What's good for MyTeam is that's shiny and new. I have to have it, right? That's great for MyTeam. Not good for MyTeam. I'm happy with everything I have. I can compete the way that I want. This fits my play style and I'm good. I'm not spending money. I can glance at this collection, see that nobody replaces anyone on my team, and I'll just compete until you come up with something that entices me. That's bad, at least from their perspective, in my opinion. So understanding that the design of the game, of the MyTeam area of the game, is less competitive from an emotional standpoint, you can also, if you are a competitive player, very easily see that MyTeam is also less competitive from a gameplay standpoint. And without belaboring that idea, there's just more RNG in MyTeam to begin with, because there are 8 AIs on the court at any one time, right? If you talk about Park, that's 6 human beings. You talk about Rec, 10 human beings. Once you get into MyTeam, you're talking about 2 human beings, but 10 characters, and 4 on each team is AI, inherently less in control. And unlike other games where the AI has a very simple job to do right away, in 2K, they have complex jobs that they have to do on the fly. And if you play MyTeam or even Play Now, you'll know that sometimes they do that job poorly, and it has nothing to do with your settings. It has nothing to do with your control. There are just RNG situations with RNG outcomes that make it less competitive than the rest of the game. But then if we compare MyTeam to Play Now, you have another variable. The AI is now super juiced on defense. They have astronomical defensive stats, all of the best defensive badges, and you as a player now have to, the job of the human on the other side is a lot easier when they have higher support, right? So now instead of the human having to track what you're doing all over the court, they can let the AI do that because the AI is maxed out on defense. And so offensively, now you're in a situation where you're looking to score in these smaller spaces, using as many exploits as you can, because inherently it is an environment that's not friendly to the player just by showing up, right? Which is why And online, what do people do? They go to the corner and do nothing on defense, and they let the AI do everything else. This is not competitive, and this is by design. So where's the enjoyment coming from? I can tell you overall, the enjoyment mostly comes from the acquisition of cards, right? The acquisition of cards and building your team. Now, you acquire cards different ways. And this is how 2K splinters the enjoyment, right? Some people can acquire cards by grinding. Some people can acquire cards by grinding in a competitive context, right? So you have offline grinders and online grinders. And then some people can acquire cards by just spending money, getting the cards they want and getting out. And some people can just fall in love with the gambling aspect of it. I do not judge any of those groups, however you enjoy the game, because we all understand it's a shit game. I don't think anybody says MyTeam is good, right? Like, no matter how much you're enjoying MyTeam, objectively, is it good? Absolutely not. Why is that? There's literally no content in the game mode. Like, they put cards into the game mode, but what is there to do besides play the same offline modes you've been playing this entire time and play other people in the same online modes you've been playing, right? There's no spotlights. There's no special challenges. We get the same old challenges, and really those challenges are just filler, right? There's nothing interesting offline. And even if there was something interesting offline, the gameplay offline is horrible, right? It's boring at best and annoying at worst. It's a shit game. And we enjoy it because we like building teams, we like collecting cards, and that's totally okay. There's an entire Japanese word dedicated to this idea. It is kusoge, and this game is kusoge. And we have to admit that as a community so that we can enjoy the game. And within this miserable environment, we can understand that, oh, well, that guy gets enjoyment from pulling packs. That guy gets enjoyment for sweating in Unlimited. That guy gets enjoyment from grinding 800 triple threat offline matches. Whatever it is not your fault. It's 2K's fault. And we're going to get into a video proving this at a later date. But for now, I wanted to just communicate this one message. It's perfectly okay and normal to enjoy a bad game. But while you do it, don't judge other people for also enjoying a bad game in a different way. Newsflash, there's no good way to enjoy MyTeam. It is a bad game mode with enjoyable aspects. And whichever enjoyable aspects you choose, that's up to you, right? And I'm not judging you for it. I don't care if you spend $1,000 a week on the game or 1,000 hours a week on the game. I don't judge you for it, right? 1 hour, $10. I don't judge you for it. Enjoy the game the way you want. I'm here to elevate the conversation so that as the community gets smarter, they can have better demands on the developers, right? And the more the community is unified in what they want from the developers, whatever the percentage is, let's say the community has a perfect list of demands for the developers, even if in that perfect list, the developers only honor 10%, at least they honor 10% of a perfect list, as opposed to 50% of a list of people who are just deranged from all of the dopamine that they're getting from the game, both the exhilaration of pulling a card and the ultimate hatred they have for the game mode when they get screwed, and then they make their demands from that emotional state. That's the primary directive of this channel, is to educate the community and help us all get smarter together so that when we go to the developers and say, no, we like this, we're right. And we're asking for a better game in unity, and it goes a little further from kusoge towards something that's more enjoyable on a more regular basis. All right, so that's the rant for this week. Stratosphere collection looks really good, looks really fun. Yao Ming is obviously going to be busted. He's bad for the game. Most people won't have him. You'll almost never see him. But when you do, you know my recommendation. You can either leave or just stick it out. In my experience, people with over 100 overall cards tend to be the worst players. And I don't even play online that much. And every time I have faced 100 overall Kareem, I have destroyed him. and I think I've beaten Wemby every time too. Maybe I have one loss against Wemby. So you know, do what you do when you see Yao Ming. But outside of that, enjoy the game the way you want to enjoy the game. And for me, I'm going to enjoy the cards. I'm going to enjoy the fact that these are a bunch of good Dark Matters. And I'm going to enjoy the fact that these are probably a bunch of good Opals. And I'm going to enjoy the fact that when I do lock in this collection, which I will do with MT and maybe some VC, I don't have to buy VC because I play my career, right? So I'm usually sitting on between 50 to 150,000 anyway, just from playing the game, because I don't buy boosts. So I'll almost definitely lock in this collection at some point, and when I do, I will enjoy most likely getting a good card. And then I'm going to keep it moving, which I hope you all do as well. Thank you so much for your support on the channel. Please like and subscribe. Onward and upward, we're going to keep pushing as we now cross the 700 subscriber mark on our way to 1,000. I usually don't like to talk about the YouTube metrics, but I appreciate the support, guys. And I just want to give you that feedback, and let's keep it moving. All right. I will see you all in the next one.